So I work for JPMorgan Chase from Mumbai. So I worked in many domains in finance like valuations, risk analytics, product controlling, uh, auditing, financial accounting, so on and so forth. So it's a great 360 platform into financial and accounting for last 20 years. So I'm here to understand from all of you and contribute a few more what I have learned till date. So it's a great opportunity, and I really welcome all these corporates from different companies here, and the model and the operations that we have with the panel today is going to be enriching. So as we know, our panel is sitting here. They are second to none in terms of their expertise, experience, and SME that they carry. They've got almost 20 years of average experience here, and they are going to speak not only about the function, but also how technology is having that cutting edge to improve and showcase the augmented reality of life by using artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, deep learning, whatnot. It could be augmented reality, it could be virtual reality, it could be natural language processing, whatever it is there, utilizing those resources and dashboarding them through Alteryx workflow or Tableau. These are the generation that is talking about the improvement of finance along with the technology cutting edge. So as we all aware that nature is an infinite sphere of which center everywhere but circumference nowhere. So any point you ping in, there is something to learn from, there is something to stagger with. So based on those financial experts of El Dorado, the prospered world, we are trying to go to the notch higher because we want to be second to none. So here the game is not over until we win over it. So we have the financial expertise. Now we want to have that techno-functional knowledge along with it. So we have got all our stalwart with us, like Gaurav Papriwal on my left. He is working for TresVista and he has got enriching experience of more than 15 years now, and he takes care of financial planning, analysis, budgeting, and everything. So I'm going to pose him few questions, how the functional knowledge has been transmitting and how the technology setup is getting elevated there. I've got Mr. Ankit Maheshwari along with me, who is the CFO of Quick Hills Technology. He has got enriching experience. Again, he has worked with many organizations like SG Analytics, Vodafone, Suzlon, and whatnot. So he has got both manufacturing and service industry experience, and he is going to talk about how technology is going to help, especially in artificial intelligence and machine learning platform. I have got Mr. Anuj Deshmukh. He works for Birlasoft. He is the head for the tax, international tax. He is taking care of all three regions like Asia, EMEA, and North America. And he is really going to talk what is the site view of the global platform of tax and how actually the process are followed out and what are the bottlenecks in technology and how we are going to overcome it from the India as a process excellence site. We have got Mr. Vishwanath Kini, who works for Tech Mahindra. He has got enriching 30 years of experience into various domains like international taxation, transfer pricing, domestic taxation pertaining to both direct and indirect tax. Now today he is going to talk a little bit about tax and how it is going to have that transformation and revolution in the field. So we've got all the big four batsmen here like Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Shreyas Iyer, KL Rahul, and everybody, and they are going to show us how the shots are going to be pulled out, right? So you are going to put few questions to them along with me, and you are going to bowl 100 miles an hour, right? And they are going to score 450 runs in a span of 50 overs. That's in 1 hour. That's the motto here. Thank you very much. I do not want to take more time because we are having the precious time of yours and we have got only 1 hour time. So quickly I will join the team and ask few questions, and please feel free to chime in and ask all those questions to make it really happen. As I mentioned earlier, the game is not over until we win. So this is the human race, and we are going to do the best. Thank you very much. Big round of applause for our panel again. So I think I'm audible. Vishwanath, you being the most senior person and Rohit Sharma for our team, I want to open up with you. You know, artificial intelligence, blockchain, machine learning, deep learning, whatnot. So we are talking about this, where while we have enriching experience in the field of finance, transfer pricing, tax, and everything, we are now going to the next generation, next level we are talking about. So I'm taking that privilege and honor to ask you a question on blockchain technology. Do you think it could improve the tax system?
Yeah, thanks for this question. And I think thanks for that comment of Rohit Sharma. I only hope that there are no Travis Head in the audience to take that particular catch in the final. So having said that, I think, technology today, I think it's a given, right? So I don't think we have any industry as an option to say that I would still want to do manual or do without technology. I think technology is something any industry will not have an option but to go for it. So I think in the previous session, I think Neeraj also covered in length, saying that actually what is happening is government of India is sometimes one step ahead of the industry. Take it the case of GST implementation. In 2017, when GST came into the picture, they were far ahead of what the industry was. I mean, they were even talking of a matching of, you know, the output and the input, etc. So that's where the government was. And I think even today's time, I think unless until industry is geared up for technology, like an AI or a digital transformation, I think we'll be left behind, and there would be a lot of issues from a compliance standpoint, etc., to see that we don't have any issues from the compliance standpoint. So that's something what is given. So from an opening remark, I think I just feel that's something we don't have an option but to adopt to the technological change. Let it be AI, let it be machine learning, let it be blockchain or any sort of even chatbot nowadays. I think even chatbot, I think many of the industries, that's something what we have been, many of the industry have started adopting chatbots, etc. So that's something what is, we don't have an option but to adopt. Yeah.
So you mean technology and blockchain, they're changing the world of taxation?
Absolutely. I think that's something what, as I mentioned, it's a given. And for example, even if, let's take a blockchain, for example. If you have to file a VAT return or a global VAT return, for example, in Tech Mahindra, we are present almost in 90 odd countries. So we have gone long back, at least 5 years back, into this technology of doing all the returns, the compliance through the Thomson Reuters tool, where, you know, everything is done automated, and that particular thing is filed through the government portal in many of these jurisdictions. US is far ahead of all this. I think they are at least, maybe they have adopted this somewhere in 70s or 80s. So they are much ahead of the other countries.
Yeah.
Secondly, I think let it be, I think the technology for most of the industries, whatever routine work is there, what is mundane work is there, whatever tedious work is there, I mean, that's something what needs to be automated, right? So unless until those routine work is not automated, I think people are spending more time doing those type of routine work, operational work, and that's where I think this technology will really help in taking away that particular, you know, excess time what the team is actually putting on. And that's where I think they can really do more analytical and creative jobs. And I'm sure this is globally or in India. Even GST is now completely done into that particular mechanism, right? They are all getting into automated system. Yeah, there are some pitfalls there, which probably I will cover in the subsequent questions if you have. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. So, Mr. Anuj, Vishwanath really talked about how US is getting advanced in terms of US taxation modernization and everything. So from Indian perspective, how do you think blockchain is used in government of India? Like?
Yeah, so talking about blockchain, you know, if you were to just at a high level understand technology involved. So the technology is more a distributed ledger where the data is spread across various, you can call states or various users, and then there has to be a peer-to-peer exchange of that data. And a good example of, this blockchain technology could be, for example, a land records of the, what state government has been maintaining, or, all the government has been maintaining. So that could be one good example of, blockchain technology. Now talking about that technology in tax, I would say, there's still some more time to go for use of blockchain in tax, because, considering the back end of the technology, it is more relevant where there has to be, peer-to-peer exchange of data. So I would say that it is more relevant at this stage, the way I see for the governments, because, the kind of considerations involved are more on the data security, that whatever data is there at the various nodes, that has to be secured, that cannot be tampered with. It has to be a very transparent data, and that encourages traceability of transactions. And that's where I say that it is more useful for government. For example, government would be in a position to trace the data, which is, say, for the cross-border transactions happening. It would be more relevant for government to track the transactions happening and see if it is anything to be taxed in that. And talking about some of the areas where government has been experimenting use of blockchain technologies, one is, as I said, identity verification, which could be something similar to what Aadhaar has been implemented. So government has been experimenting and using blockchain as the back-end technology. Then something, as I said, on the land records, the state government of Kerala has actually used blockchain technology for digitizing the land records. And thirdly, it could be on the medical records, that more relevant for the insurance industry, that they would all obviously want to understand the profile of their patients, or or the prospective customers, to know their risk and accordingly have the insurance in place. So these are some of the relevant examples of blockchain, I would say.
Thank you. Gaurav, over to you. Can you put some light on the outlook of the blockchain technology in taxation field?
Thank you. So I think everyone is just saying, talking about the government. So I think we need more Rohit Sharma rather than here. In our side, we need more Rohit Sharma, Maxwell kind of person in government authorities who can, implement the changes immediately, whatever the changes are required. So I think it's a need everywhere. We are talking about blockchains. So if I talk about the blockchain technology and blockchain valuations, which were valued around $12 billion in 2022, which is expected to grow from $18 billion to $470 billion in 2032, which is exhibiting a CAGR around 60%, which is tremendous growth is there. And everyone is looking at it. I believe that rapidly growing blockchain technology environment is fueling the demand for this technology across sector, starting from government to retail sector. So like blockchain technology is able to provide solutions and information through its shareable and transparent data, which is easily accessible by all of the SSEs, and through and if I talk about this information, which is really coming through the restricted platform, and it's only accessible to specific user, which is really secure data we are accessing. And like if I talk about pandemic, we have seen where we went through the drastic disaster. If I talk about, it's a decade disaster where each of the companies switched to digitalizations to reform their business and business need digitalization strategy. And even though in this current scenario, if I talk about Neeraj has already talked about that point, like every company has invested in this technology, and they are looking for adapting these changes for their business needs, reconstructions of their business strategy, and faster adoption of the being in a competitive market. So I believe that it's a great outlook for if I talk about the future vision of blockchain technology. And I just give you a very simple example, like UPI payment. If we talk about India might be leading in the UPI payment, but this is already somewhere around the world where some other countries already started using it. So we have witnessed before 4 or 5 years. If I talk about myself, I was not using UPI because I was not trusted. this, if suppose I use Google Pay, what will happen, whether double amount will be deducted or what will happen. But yes, it is a trusted sources, and we started using it. Now it's a need of our time. It's a need of our day-to-day routine. We go outside, we use this technology. So this UPI is a revolutionary changes. If I talk about government of India initiative in different way, but still way forward to go. We need more adoptions of technology in both sides. It's not about the SSE, but it's a government call that they need to align all the needs of the SSEs, whatever we are talking about.
Thanks for your output here. Ankit, over to you. Thanks. So Ankit, over to you. Like you being part of a senior leadership, how do you think the future perspective from the career standpoint for the developers to come in terms of blockchain, AI?
So hi everyone. There's a huge demand which we see in the market. Demand is much more as compared to supply, if I have to answer your specific question. And blockchain actually helps us in getting into the innovative products using the cutting edge technology, which is the need of the hour. But if I have to go, let's say my 25 years back when I used to do my articleship, we used to use the manual. So calculator was the best thing which we used to have it. And I remember doing my articleship, going to different clients, using their manual books, doing auditing, etc. So that's how we started. And then in 2000, there was a revolution which we saw. Internet came, there was SAPs of the world, which helps us in implementing the ERP, which Neeraj was also referring that. In fact, I was seeing some video. SAP was founded in 1972. So West started this journey 30 years back, but we started in 2000 when most of the companies started, big companies started doing the ERP implementation. And then there were days, I remember in 2010 when I was in Suzlon, we started using the BI. So then there was a journey which came of using the integrated source, the connected one, which Neeraj was referring that there is a disintegration. When we see ERP not getting the data extracted directly from this, it is a manual intervention. So 2010, when we see BI was in picture, then in 2015-16, we start hearing AI, ML, blockchain. These become very common. And then bot. So I remember when I was in Vodafone, in 2016, we implemented one project on bots where we started using bots for the repetitive work. And it actually pays off well in those times. And then in 2020, our friend was also referring that when we saw COVID came in, we realized that world is going to end. But actually that became the starting point for the digitization. If you see all the stock prices of the companies, especially in the tech sector, they have got triple, 4 times, 10 times. So that was the impact of digitization, which we saw in last 5 years especially. And if I go with blockchain, I think the use case clearly is the cryptocurrency, where we were able to use cryptocurrency as the backbone for cryptocurrency was the blockchain.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So it seems like jobs are in demand.
Of course. So I see, I was reading an article where the jobs are going at more than 5,000 times. So if I have got one supply, the jobs are 5,000. That is the difference. And in terms of the pay scale, the normal developer, if he's paying X, a developer for blockchain could get 1.5x or 2x. So that is the difference between a normal developer and a developer who has an experience on blockchain.
Great. So audience, do you have any questions to ask for on blockchain basically to our panel? Feel free to ask. You can raise your hand if somebody wants to. I take it as a no. Well, so let's go to the subsequent part of the session. it's more about artificial intelligence, and I just want to go with the flow. Again to Ankit, just want to know how is AI used in taxation?
So, hello, yeah, sorry. So, AI is everywhere today. And AI is interchangeably used, whether we call it digitization, automation, blockchain, ML, AL, this is all connected. And I remember I trade in stocks. So a couple of years back, I used to do my advanced tax calculation when I have to do a quarterly deposit of advanced tax. Now it has become so smooth that government is doing, or maybe my Demat account holder is actually tracking my all the transactions. I go into the net banking, I open it, and it is auto-populated. So that's the power of AI, ML, whatever you want to say, or the digitization which government is doing. We have moved to faceless. This is one example where government is already getting the data, they are auto-populating, and we are helping them with giving more details when they need it. Another example could be tax audit. There are a lot of things which we used to do manually on tax audit. GST reconciliation Neeraj was referring. So that was the pain. But everything is now becoming automated, digital, and things have become very, very routine from that perspective.
Yeah, no, point taken. So thank you, Ankit. I want to go to the subsequent one. So the platform of digitization in the tax industry, especially in India. So Gaurav, how you see at it? Like you have got the functional expertise and transforming it to the digitization. How does it help?
Okay. So I think, again, it's a very painful area for everyone when we talk about digitalization of tax. But yeah, digitalization of tax, when we talk about digitalizations, it's denote to digitalization of environment, where already government had invested lots of amount in their digital strategy, digital transformation of India, but it's need to accelerate. From there, it should be useful for SSE as well. And it is like that they use this AI technology for transparent and clear data. It's helping them to getting rapid data from all of the platforms, whether it is talking about GST, income tax portal, custom portal. But we need to talk about is all integrations, where all data can be easily populated to all of the government authorities. It should not be like that where I'm getting a notice and I provide the same data to different authorities. So digitalization of tax should be, in my way, it should be combine of various tools, various compliances, various data on the different platform, because it's the same data which we are populating to government side. So I believe that it's the time has changed. We have a less burden. Someone is there who can, we are getting auto mails for our compliance reminder, and all other things are getting changed. Earlier, if I remember, like Ankit is senior than me. He started his articleship in 25 years back. I started before 15 years. But yes, at that time also we were tracking manually. We were doing the manual audit. We were, making a list how much compliances are there. But still, right now we are getting auto mails, auto, SMS on your registered mobile ID and everything. So government is doing that, but still long way to go. I believe so.
So it is advantages, right, in the future?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it's went, but again, I'm talking about it's about we need a very opening batsman like who can play a good journey for on behalf of SSE. Again.
Yeah. Of course, we remember Virender Sehwag for that.
Yeah. Might be.
So so my subsequent questions to Mr. Anuj: how are AI and ML being used interchangeably?
So, talking about Birlasoft specifically, what we have done is, with the help of data which is sitting in SAP, which is the ERP used by us, we have created a data lake. All the data from SAP which flows into the data lake, And on top of that, then we are using Power BI for, which is more like for using, doing predictive analysis. For example, using the past data, the trends. For example, for tax, if you have to say, how much could be the advance tax considering the trend which we have seen in past. So that is some for tax, I would say, a specific example that predictive analysis, understanding the liability, or that can also be used to understand the ETR of various countries and accordingly do the tax planning. So I would say that's one real life example what we have done in Birlasoft. So that is one. Then a couple of bots what we've implemented, that is more helping us to do the data extraction and data classification. And one real life example is for the transfer pricing study, the way we need the segment. While it is rule-based, but at the press of the button, with the help of Ledger, the way we have classified it, the bots are able to classify on-site, offshore, operating, non-operating, and with the help of that, at a click of button for say 16 countries in one go, you are able to get the segmental profit and loss. So that is another use of, I would say, the technology what we have done. And talking about some aspirational technologies could be, or something what government has been using or the consultants have been using is, it could be chatbots, which help you to guide the process of written filing, understand their laws and regulations or the specific queries of the users. It could be natural language processing for tax interpretation. Now, that will be more useful for consultants, obviously, to more understand or get the interpretation of a particular tax section and do their analysis and accordingly advise clients. So these are, I would say, some of the aspirational technologies from the tax side. And I also told you about how we've done automation in Birlasoft. I think that is how I will look at it at this topic.
You talked about automation of Birlasoft. So you really channelize, mobilize, utilize, and exploit these technical resources to get the platform ready on a daily basis in terms of BAU?
Correct. So, see, the way we have structured typical IT companies, we have, India as the headquarters and we have subsidiaries across. So sales happen over the various countries, and then there is a subcontracting happening to India. So the lot of intercompany transactions are happening, and obviously, transfer pricing being one. So in SAP itself, then we classify the data to say that, this is the on-site part of the contract, this is. Sure. And accordingly, we've automated the billing. What billing has to be done from India to overseas, that happens in SAP itself. So there is no, need then to do manual calculation, how much is the billing, how much India should be charging. So that is how, from the SAP side, we have done especially for the intercompany transactions, because, the transactions keeps happening every day, almost, I would say. So there has to be system control. It is very difficult to have a manual control on it.
Okay. Any emerging technologies that you see in AI and you want to, put forth, you want to talk about?
Right. So talking about AI, what we are currently exploring, not for tax obviously, but being a finance controller, I'm also looking at the AP area. So we are just trying to explore that whether AI could be used to read the vendor invoices which are coming in and have that first level of three-way match happening for the vendor invoices. So that is something, I would say we are currently exploring, trying to see if we can use AI to read the vendor invoices and do the first level of match.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So over to you, Vishwanath sir, again. Just want to understand how machine learning and AI, they complement each other in terms of technology, setup, the process governance, oversight, control framework, methodological application framework, wherever it is. So how they complement each other?
So I think I can't see much of a difference between the two. I think AI, when you are implementing an AI or a machine learning, it could be trying to replace a repetitive type of job where you're trying to automate a normal routine work, what you generally do in many of the organizations. Now, I'll give you an example of, an international area where many of these EU countries, the European countries, are talking about an e-invoicing, which has become mandatory, which is going to become mandatory somewhere in June, July of next year, or even January for that matter. You take the case of Pillar 2, which is going to come across the globe. All this type of, complex tax functions, what is going to come in the near future, AI and machine learning and all this type of technology is going to help many of the industry. Because I don't think any of these things you can do it without the help of technology. Take the case of the e-invoicing, which European countries are going to make it mandatory. Even Middle East for that matter. Now Middle East today is gone into a tax regime, a corporate tax regime of 9%, right? Even if you have to implement a VAT or something like that, everything has to be done through an automated system. And they are even talking of all this through an automated system, right? They are not even talking of a manual. So it is a system-driven government thing where they are saying it has to be done automatically. Even the e-invoicing, just like in GST, we will have to do with the IRN code, etc., which we do in today's world in India. The European countries have replicated this particular model, and it's all done through this technology. So what I'm only saying is, let it be AI, let it be, I mean, whichever thing is going to help the industry, that's the one what you need to adopt to really cater to these needs of this ever-changing demands from various countries. Because that's something you can't just say that I'll do it manual. It's just not possible. Because there is a matching concept. There is, I mean, Anuj alluded to the point of transfer pricing and the local files, the master files, etc. Everything has to be digitized. I mean, each and every industry is growing today, right? We are sitting in a world of growing revenues, growing compliance, right? And you will have more countries which would have come into this thing. I mean, today as we speak, I mean, I have 90 plus countries where we do the compliance. Anuj was talking of 60 plus countries, Birlasoft. I mean, that's where we are all sitting in that particular chair to see that compliance is not compromised. So from that perspective, unless you have this technology, let it be AI, let it be machine learning or any such type of technology, we just can't do it without that help. Yeah, there could be some difficulties implementing and there could be some manual intervention. We may not get the last mile till the 100% is automated. We might still have to work with the 60 or 70%. Maybe 20, 30%, you may still have to go manual, right? So that's where, I mean, today's world is. I mean, I don't think we can even think of a situation that I would like to still go manual or whatever. I mean, that's a given today. I don't think we have a choice.
Yeah. So otherwise, how do you place a blockchain within the artificial intelligence space in terms of reducing human errors, getting things done within a short span of time in terms of output and execution? Also sprucing up things in terms of dashboarding, getting the right information to display or portray. It's all about how we are responsible, accountable, we are consulted, and we stay informed about blockchain in the space of artificial intelligence.
See, as I mentioned, this particular technology which is there definitely helps many of the corporates and the governments. But I think sometimes it can even be misused, right? Let me give you an example of an AI which the government of India is using today. The data what they have got is from various sources. They have got from various sources. Now, they have been sending notices on a situation where if the amount of, even the notices have come for the purpose of GST non-compliance, that they have said that you have not filed a particular GST. They are picking up numbers from a financial statement which is all published. 100 rupee is mentioned in the financial statement. My GST I have paid on a 60 or a 70 rupees. They are saying 30 or 40 rupees mein GST nahi bhara hai. Now, that's where this difficulty is. Now, many of the industries, that 100 rupees what is there, 30 or 40 could be based on accrued revenue, which doesn't attract GST.
Yeah.
So AI has really picked up that particular situation that, it is not matched. So notices have come. I mean, many of the industry would have definitely faced this particular situation. That reconciliations issue, which I think Neeraj covered in the earlier thing. I mean, that's the type of notices. These are where the pitfalls are of technology also. So yes, it definitely helps the industry in really automating many of the things. But there are those pitfalls where they have misused this type of technology without even analyzing that particular notice what I'm going to send, is it right or not? And there have been number of notices and summons which have been issued to directors for these type of reconciliation issues, which is factually wrong. Under GST, it is governed by a particular law, right? You have to raise an invoice based on a particular set of data, while financial statements are done on different pretexts. I mean, how can you try and match some numbers from a GST return or a financial statement? These are the difficulties, what the handicaps through this technology is. So maybe somewhere that something has to be seen very, in depth as to whether that's the right way. Earlier, we never used to get these type of notices. Probably they have not done that analytical thing. But yeah, technology is helping them, helping the government to get all these type of things. But somewhere I think the industry and probably the finance department is wasting time answering these type of questions, which I think would have been best avoided.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Ankit,
I
over
just
to
want to add on this.
Yeah.
Basically, in my view, the system is not yet matured. So it's a journey. In US, when I was referring, it happened about 25 years back, and now the journey has started in India also. Neeraj in his presentation said that we are at 8, 9 as against the corporate preparedness of 3 or 4. So it will take time, and maybe in next 5 to 7 years, we'll see a significant change over here.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
So,
my view.
yeah. So you are talking about not only the rear mirror view while riding a bike, it is also the headlight view. So while US is heading or marching towards the progress where we are not looking at our headlight view, we are looking at the rear view image. So yeah, that's absolutely taken. Yes, we need to take care of it. Otherwise, how do you think the machine learning is part of the emerging technologies that are coming in India and in abroad?
So, as I said, these are interchangeably used. But if you go with a specific definition, machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And it's a science, you can say, which uses the data and algorithms, and they try to copy a human so that it becomes, it can work what humans used to do. So that's what is machine language. But if I give you one example, in my previous company, we had a client, and I can share that name, Disney. So they wanted to know what is the viewership, at what time, let's say during the 24 hours, how the viewership is going on. So if we have to do it manually, it is just not possible because it runs into millions of lines. Even Excel was not supporting it, so we used macro and other things. With the help of ML as well as AWS, we were able to get some qualitative data or info out of that millions of lines, which was being looked by the client. They wanted to see what is the usage, what time, and it is very logical. They knew it that, let's say if 9 to 2 is the school timing, of course, Disney being a kids channel, it would not be viewed so much. So they wanted to have a third outside view wherein we need to confirm that yes, this is happening and the usage is lower during the night hours and so on. So we had a classic case where we were able to use this.
Yeah, so you talked about technical viewership in Disney. That's great. So you are mobilizing the subject very well now. So just wanted to understand the technology setups within AI. So what are the types of technological setups to articulate?
So there are multiple. So if I have to go with the initial days, it was artificial narrow intelligence and then artificial general intelligence, and then it went to artificial super intelligence. So that was the 3 old types. And then gradually we added, there are a couple, but if I rightly recollect, the last one is, there were, let me check, because I was actually seeing this in the morning in one of my discussion. So the other one is reactive machines, limited memory, theory of mind, and self-aware.
That's really good.
So self-awareness is the ultimate, the final stage where it is like human. So those were the 7 which I was say that the types of artificial intelligence, ML, whatever you want to say, and this is.
Yeah, making absolute sense. All those corners of the plot.
So self-aware is the end game where it is the ultimate that as of now, of course, the technology is emerging and it is very dynamic. So we might see another things coming up in next couple of years, but this is where we, as on date, is working on.
Yeah. Thank you, Ankit. Really a great vision. So over to you, Anuj. Do you think we are greasing our wheels well before ML gets perfectly used, comprehensively used?
So, As I said, there are various technologies, and Ankit was referring to. So there is one bucket of AI which has subsets of ML. Then you may have natural language processing. On the other hand, you have blockchain, and on the third hand, then you may be having augmented reality or virtual reality. So these are, I would say, three different technologies, and now it depends on whether everything can be used in tax. The answer would be no. Part of it would be used in tax, part of it may be used by government to taxpayers. So that is how I would say how the play of all the three technologies is happening. And obviously government has made best use of it. Government is maybe everybody keeps saying, but they are really maybe 10 steps ahead of taxpayers. The way they have implemented this GST is a classic example, and maybe again that Aadhaar PAN linking, that is another beautiful project. So in terms of from a tax technology, what is available with government, the AIS or TIS, what we are able to see, if you have to see, the government has data with the help of which they can actually build your tax PNL. Whether you are disclosing the transaction or not, the government has already have the transaction, whether it be a purchase of movable properties, sale of movable property, equity shares, dividend. And I'm sure, the objective or the vision of the government is that soon we'll have our automated tax returns, coming in our hands, whether you just say yes or no. I think that is what the vision or objective with which the government has been working using this technology. So we need to be really mindful of that and be prepared. Otherwise, what Kini sir has been referring to, these kind of notices will come, and then we are really struggling to understand when these GST notices come as to these are the mismatches, then we actually start from the scratch. Where is this mismatch coming from? So I would say then, unless we are also technologically prepared for all this to handle, we'll be in a better role if we implement these technologies, be it AI, ML, or blockchain to a certain extent.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Gaurav, over to you now. How do you think that the improvement of tax enforcement, basically in the growing economy like India, it is going to help, and what are the platforms to use?
So I think I need to add on other subject as well, like we are talking about tax, migrating data, getting information, we are receiving notices. Everyone, we know, we are talking about that. But in my view, AI can help and through the blockchain technology for, streamline the audit process. Like in India, we have a multiple audits, like tax audit, IFC audit, state audit, transfer pricing audit. So why these are required? If I talk about US Delaware company, it's a replica. If I talk about India, we implement as we offer FII to come in India and do the business here. But if I talk about US company, there is no audit requirement if you are not listed company, if there are no investment requirement. So they are already in the transform state. Like Ankit mentioned, they started using 1970, but still we are far behind of this technology, where we need to migrate all our audit for whatever the applicability is there for any compliances. It's need a time to attract the FII for the doing the business in India. And if I talk about blockchain technology for transformation of tax, likely mentioned by Anuj and my friend Ankit and sir, all data is readily available on the platform. It's just a need that we get this data and provide our information or ask government. It's just a community where we should be representing and asking government that it is easily available. And why can't we go like this, like PAN, Aadhaar, linkage, if you talk about UPI journey, if I talk about fintech companies, using their blockchain technology for their faster transaction settlement, cross-country finance transaction settlement. It's really because of their low transaction cost. And if I talk about Indian banking system, they started using this technology by, starting new blockchain companies by government of India. It's really long journey for, I see in that.
Yeah, thank you. So Ankit, over to you. You have been serving as a CFO and you have worked into many organizations. Now we see India is the third largest setup in terms of startups coming up, Make in India drive, or look at the way economy is progressing, the strategic liquidity reserve we have, the forex reserve we have. So how do you forecast with all these cutting edge technologies, we are going to beat other economies? We are currently at 5th position, so how do you look at it?
So my view here is that the next 2 decades are of India. So be it technology, be it digitalization, be it anything in terms of manufacturing, export, look our reserves. We are having currently 600 billion of reserves, dollars of reserves. So, which used to be about 7 years back, 200, 150, and we used to struggle. So, the next 20 years is of India, and I will, if I have to rate it, and we are actually improving day by day. To Neeraj's point, currently when he says we are at 2 or 3, I slightly disagree, but maybe we are at 4 or 5. But we have to ultimately match with the government. Otherwise, I generally say in my board that the cost of non-compliance is way high to a compliance cost. Because, and as a CFO, when I sign few documents, I always see, am I non-compliant? And if I'm non-compliant, there are too many risks which I am carrying. So I have to ensure that I'm compliant. And these are technologies which a company help to be compliant. So we are using SAP, we are using everything. We have got presence in 27 states. Quick Heal is primarily an Indian company having most of the revenue coming from India. So we operate from 28 states, 7 union territories. So to manage that, unless we have a system in place, we just cannot do it. So these technologies give us a comfort, give us the board, independent directors, the comfort that yes, we are doing it and we are on the right path. So to summarize, we have to be compliant, and these are technologies which are helping us. And these next 20 years are of India, so we'll be far ahead if you see in this journey. And maybe very soon we have to beat the government.
Great news for us. Well, Vishwanath ji, you have handled the international taxation. So India is heavily into imports and export in terms of balance of trade and balance of payment. So in terms of bill of lading, how the tax implication is going to impact after this modernization is going to be implemented?
So, okay, I come from an IT industry. Generally, the bill of lading part doesn't affect us from that perspective. Generally, it's for the manufacturing or goods traded item. What I would only want to add here is this particular technology, what we are all implementing. There is some area where probably the usage of that particular shouldn't be in a manner that it will be to the advantage of the industry and to the board of directors, because that's the one they are more concerned whether globally we are complied or not. Let it be a simple thing of bill of lading, or let it be anything in relation to a VAT filing, corporate tax filing, transfer pricing. Now I think globally we are getting into pillar 2 and etc. etc. I mean, each and every area has to be looked at from that angle. So we can't really pick and choose 1 or 2 and say that this is what is being done. So I think we don't have a choice, as I mentioned in the beginning of this thing, we don't have a choice but to implement this through any of this technological advancement. And that's something what we need to do. And I think many of the things nowadays, what is also happening is tax today is not typically a compliance function. It is also a support to the business, right? So business, every time they want to understand that I'm doing a transaction in a particular country, whether withholding tax would apply or not, I should have that technology which is geared up to answer such type of questions. Because otherwise, you will be completely docile and you will not be able to answer such type of questions. Second is, there is always a demand from the board on the ETRs. So you should have a predictable, I think Anuj also alluded to, I mean, you should know what the trend of my ETR is in the past and how much would be the advance tax or how much the ETR for the future. So those are the things probably what we'll have to do is, we'll have to use this technology to really get to that level of the demands of the business. Because we can't be working in silos to say that I'm looking at the tax and yeah, that's it. I'm filed my return, I filed my compliance, I filed my GST returns. That's not on today. The business is needing something more. They are really just not bothered of what you are doing from a tax standpoint. They want tax to support business, right? They will tell me that there is a supply which is happening from Singapore. The customer is sitting in US. There is a vendor sitting in Africa. You tell me what could be tax implication 3 or 4. I mean, sitting in India, you just can't imagine how the whole transaction is going to work. So you will have to have some technology to support you how the Singapore taxation works, how a US taxation works, how an India taxation works, how an African taxation works. So you'll have to have some support in that particular field. Even if I have to ask my particular team how you can do, I will have to go to 3 different people who handles US, one person, one will be Africa, one would be some other country, right? So it takes hell lot of time to give an answer to a business leader to get that, because he is sitting on he's saying on the level, mujhe answer chahiye, fatafat, right? So that's where the pressures of work is. So this technology, so we'll have to ensure that these are, let it be any technology, we'll have to ensure that it helps us in supporting the business, and that's what is the demand for the future. I think gone are the days where we are only sitting on filing a compliance returns, etc. That I think that's something what we need to do. I'm not saying that can be done away with, but I think we'll have to support the business. That's the key nowadays, and I'm sure Ankit would also have the same challenge as a CFO on these type of areas. Yeah.
Any real-time scenario on international tax settlement issue? Because demographics are involved there, right?
Real-time answers. Okay. I mean, I don't think tax really gets settled in real time now. I think we are actually, I think the worst position for a tax person, he is sitting today on a tax which could be 15-year-old matter.
Yeah.
And he is also have to think through this technology for a 15-year future. So that's what the difficulty is. I may have a matter going up, today we are in 23, somewhere of 7, 8 in the tribunal or in the high courts. So I will have to have that particular, idea of what should be done for that year, because the laws of that year was different. And then in future, how do I use this to, in future, that these type of things shouldn't happen also.
Yeah.
So it's a 15-year plus and minus. So that's where it is.
And the problem is you were not there in the system in
Yeah.
2008. So unless we have systems in place which have the continuity, we just cannot help. It will not work.
Yeah. Thank you very much.